for allowing me to be here. Can you guys hear me well? Yes. Okay. All right. So I have a bunch of random stuff on this slide, and I'm going to go through it. I only got 12 minutes, which is really like 11. And so I'm going to just start. I wrote a book. I started with writing a book. I always wanted to write a book, but in 2016, my father was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And it became very real to me that I wanted to write something and do something to create his legacy. So I'm going to pause that for a second. I always try to start off my speeches or talks with 3 questions. So you can write them down if you want, or just think about them. I'll come back to them. First question is, what do you want for or from your life? What do you want from or for your life? Second question is, what are you willing to start or stop in order to get it? And the third question is, who's counting on you? So like I said, I wrote a book, and my dad got prostate cancer, and it became very real to me that this guy who I didn't have a great relationship with might not be here for a really long time. So, if you did not notice, I'm an African-American man. And there's this myth that black fathers are not present, that they're not active, that they're not in the community. And so last year I had an opportunity to speak at this really big thing that is escaping the title of me right now. But they were like, hey, we want you to talk about something. It was like a TED Talk. And I said, well, I love being a dad, and I think this is a topic that people don't talk about. And so I'm going to give you a snippet of what we talked about. So, Black Fathers Matter was the title. What people don't know is that the CDC reports that African American fathers are actually the most active in the day-to-day lives of their kids than any other ethnic group in the country. But yet we have this myth that black fathers are not present, that black men are not present. I just really like that picture. So here's my dad, 73-year-old Jesse Ross Sr., who grew up in Mississippi and had to pick cotton with his mother. This guy is the toughest guy I've ever met in my life. Went to the military. Somehow he came home and never left the military, and I have had to learn life the hard way. But to this day, he's literally one of my favorite men in the world. So again, I told you about this myth, right? This guy I didn't have a great relationship with, but yet he's one of the most important people in my life. Why? Because when my mother passed away when I was 11, he stepped up to the plate. I usually start the story off by saying he was around but not really around, and that's very true. But when my mother passed away and my grandmother came up from Mississippi and said, hey, I'm taking you back to the South with me, he said, hold on a second. Although he had 9 kids, and I'm the second youngest, he said, no, my son is going to stay here with me. And so I went from me and my mom to me, my mother, his twin brother, my dad's twin brother, my little brother, and my dad's twin brother's son, my cousin. 5 guys in the house. All we ate was meat, something out of a can, and bread. This is a picture that we just don't see. Media decides to share whatever they decide to share. Negative images. Not of positivity, not of black men showing affection. Just stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this. This is my world. Just a piece of it. Some African American fathers who I do life with, who our families do life with. And I mean life like every other Friday we have family dinner. Because we are committed to each other's success. We are committed to each other's longevity. We are committed to each other's marriages and each other's spirituality. On the other Fridays, we meet on Thursday at a Perkins and dive into the book, Basic Christianity, Play the Man. The list goes on and on. But this is not what our world sees. These are my 2 little kids. Just 2 of them. I have 5, technically 6 if you count my nephew. It was crazy getting out of the house today. But, so I'll tell you this story. One day, a few years ago, we're watching TV. And Raylan says, "Hey, Daddy, why do they keep showing this man on TV?" And I said, "Well, unfortunately, that man died." And she said, "Well, why are the police all around?" And I said, "Well, unfortunately, again, the police killed that man." I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't. These were the last words of Eric Garner, who was a father, who, regardless of whether you have feelings about it or not, he was taken away from his family. Let's think about another picture that's close to home. Philando Castile was shot and killed in front of a little girl who may not have been his daughter, but was close enough, who was also a father figure at a school where he worked every day to bring life and love to those kids. Again, this is my world. So, there's another slide that was supposed to be on here, but you know how that goes. This is a family dinner night. Here we go. All right, so picture with me. Just paint a picture, close your eyes. You're driving west on 394. You get off on Ridgedale Drive. You make that left right under the bridge, right before you get to Ridgedale. And in my rearview mirror, I see flashing lights. So most of you guys probably didn't know this, but if you are about to be pulled over and you pull into a private parking lot, you cannot get a ticket or towed. I take that back. You can get a ticket. You can't get towed. This is stuff that you learn when you're driving while black. Cop pulls me over 3 days after Philando Castile was killed. I take out my wallet, I put my hands right here. He comes to the window and says, "Hey, can I see your license and registration?" I'm going to throw something at you. And I literally threw my wallet at him. "Take it." Thankfully, he didn't rob me. That was a joke. But I proceed, and he says, "Hey, can I see your registration?" I said, "It's in the glove box." "Can I see your insurance?" "It's in the glove box." He said, "Well, can you reach over?" And I said, "Sir, I don't know if you understand, but I'm not reaching for anything." And he says, "No, it's okay." And I said, "No, it's not okay. The only thing that's important to me right now is making it home to my little people." He walks over, and I think as he finally, I said, "I'm willing to literally roll down the window, unlock the door. You can search the car. I'm not moving." And he opens the door, and I think when he opened the door and literally saw my hands shaking on the steering wheel, that's when he got it. He was able to see that regardless of circumstance, regardless of what he did or did not do, there were situations that happened, and there was an opportunity to respond or react. So again, I show you this picture. The only thing I can think about in that moment is, can I make it home safely to my kids? Now, I ask you a question, and I don't want you to respond. Have you ever felt like this? For most of us in the room, probably not. It's the reality of the world that we live in, which is why I decided to write the book, not only to elevate the conversation about fatherhood, but to elevate the conversation about black fathers. Now, this very next day after this happened, we're leaving to go to school. My daughter says, "Hey, Daddy," of course, randomly, "do you ever feel safe when you leave the house?" And I'm like, who is this little girl? And so I had a decision. I said, I said to myself, I was like, so what do I do in this situation? I could tell her the truth. I could lie. So I did like any good dad would do. I lied. I said, "Of course, sweetheart. Of course. I feel safe every day." But I didn't lie about this. I said, "You know why? Because I made a promise to God that he would keep me safe, that I would do everything in my power to make it back to you." Now, I had to tell you this story in order to get us to the real conversation. My kids have never seen this. This is why you're getting all the extra commentary. Sorry. So I work at the Minneapolis Foundation. And Nancy gave you this very nice bio, again, that I didn't create. But I get to do a bunch of things. But I work in a place in the IDS Center, downtown Minneapolis, where there's not a lot of people that look like me. Now, there are some, but for the majority, there's not. The best part about where I work is I work with a bunch of people who care about the same things I care about. They care about community. They care about people thriving. They care about doing some things that are just different, and they're going to last for a long lifetime. Which brings me to this next picture. And I couldn't find a very elegant picture of the 35W bridge, so this is all you got. But what I love most about bridges, a lady asked me a long time ago, she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a bridge. And I don't think I really knew what that meant at the time. But I said, I want to be a bridge. I want to connect people. I love people. I love being in places. I can walk in a room, I can meet everybody and probably remember half everybody's name and what they do. But I want to be a connection to those who have and who have not. For those who don't know and those who know. The funny thing about bridges is that we get the opportunity every day to be a bridge. We cross bridges all the time. What I think most people say, we connect, bridges connect. What we forget is bridges allow us to go to and from. It fills a gap. So where are the gaps in our lives? Where are you allowing Jesus to be a bridge in your life? Now remember, I asked you 3 questions. What do you want from and for your life? What are you willing to start and stop to get it? And who's counting on you? If you really answer all those questions, for us, at least us in the room, the answer always goes back to Jesus and what he called us to do. To be a bridge, to fill in the gap. So no matter what we want for our life, no matter where we're going, we realize that we can't get there without him. No matter what we're willing to start or what we're willing to stop, there's nothing that can stop us or we can start without him. And all of us have people counting on us that are not just in our families, that are not just in this school, that are not just in this city, but in this world. And if we really answer the question, Jesus is counting on us. I hope today and the rest of our lives we can continue to be bridges and connect those and fill in the gap. Thank you.